Scoot over.
That's fine. Hey, I think we're live. It's pretty exciting. This is our first live stream. We're glad you guys are here.
Hi. We're joined tonight by
The Night Owl.
Beanie and a purple and pink seahorse.
The seahorse. The kids went to the aquarium today. She didn't get to go, but they brought her a little present. Wasn't that sweet? So I had kind of an empty house today. I mean, we had 3 children here still. It wasn't exactly empty.
Very empty. Only 3.
Only 3. Yeah. So what did you do today?
I worked, and then I got hay for my wife's donkeys.
That was really nice of you, honey.
Then I ate supper.
It's still sitting on the trailer.
The supper?
No. I hope not.
No.
Well, you want to host it? Yes, get your little seahorse. So. Hi, Zoe. Hope you're doing well tonight. Glad you're here. Sheriff, you say hello to everyone. Yes. So, well, we have a lot to talk about tonight. We wanted to do this live stream because this channel has gained 250 subscribers plus. And we're really proud of that. It's a big milestone when you're a YouTube channel. And we wanted to just thank everybody and just pay some particular attention to you tonight and to your questions. See where your interest lies, maybe a better way we could serve you, or if there's things you're interested in about our homestead life or our Catholic faith life, which are just absolutely commingled. So we asked people to submit questions that we could answer here, and we offered in return for those questions to pray the rosary for you for a whole week. So that's 450 Hail Marys, because there's 9 of us praying, times 7 days a week. So wait, my math's all wrong on that. We did try
to do the math last time.
We can't figure it out.
We just didn't take the brain power to do it.
And we're not even a homeschool.
Too lazy.
We just homeschool. I don't know what that says about
too lazy
our operation here. So anyway, so we're going to hop into some of these questions here. And if you have a question during this chat, or even if you're watching the recording, if you have a question, put it in the comments and we'll try to get to it and answer it there in a reply. All right. Can you hear us okay? If anybody wants to chat back, if you have trouble, let us know. This is a new thing for us. Okay. Let's get to some questions here. What is your first question?
All right. So first question that came in was, how many acres do you live on? And continuation of the question, do you have plans to keep livestock other than chickens?
Chickens. We live on 5 acres, which, you know, it's funny when you say 5 acres, that sounds like a whole bunch of land to some people, and it sounds like a teeny bit of land to other people. So for our part of the world, we think that's a pretty good amount. I mean, it's certainly more than we're using currently, and we have all of our stuff going on. So what do you think about?
Yeah, we used to live on 10 acres. And while it was great, in some senses, we couldn't use all of the 10 acres, or we didn't use all the 10 acres because it was woods and stuff. So we used it, I mean, sort of, but it was passive, very passively used. So right now, 5 acres is good. We feel like we use it more. It's open and has a lot of grass, and so that's good for the donkeys.
Yeah.
Whereas the woods were not quite as suitable for the donkeys.
No. Well, yeah. So we use it differently. It's kind of a blank slate. We have big plans for the acreage though. Right now, we want to do some rotational grazing here in the spring and summer. With some of it it's open, we've allowed some of it to become kind of wild, and our kids like to play in that. We've created some trails through that, and it's just like, you know, up to your eyeballs tall thistles. I'm a short person, so I guess that's not really that high of grass, but the kids build forts back there. There's a bunch of rocks that they do kind of explorer games and stuff, so that's pretty cool. And then yeah, there's like a grass part where the kids play football. We have a little orchard. So we're really happy about the acreage. I feel like we can put it to good use and then really just kind of change up our plans. There's not like any real committed spot in the yard, like besides the pasture that's fenced. That's the only permanent kind of fixture. So anyway, 5 acres. Animals. What kind of animals are we going to get? Well, we currently have miniature Mediterranean donkeys in addition to chickens. And this year we're going to be adding quite a few animals. What are we adding?
Pig.
We're adding a pig.
At least a pig. Perhaps pigs is.
Well, it's a pig who is pregnant. So we're actually adding multiple pigs in
And
like a single package.
Pregnant donkey too.
And a pregnant donkey.
Erica must have a thing for pregnant animals.
I got, love for them in my heart. So I understand. Thankfully, I don't have, 9 creatures at a time like the pig does.
Right.
I one time saw a pig give birth over and over and over again because she had multiple piglets. It was very cool. It was on All Saints Day. We'd just gotten home from Mass, and I went out to check on this American guinea hog, Gretel, whose sausage we just ate tonight. Like our last package of sausage is gone. Oh, Gretel. So anyway, it was really neat. Like I kind of felt bad for her, but at the same time, I was like, I've been there. I've done that. And I gave birth to like bigger creatures than that.
But not 6 of them or 7
Not in a row.
time.
I wonder what that would be like.
I don't know. Can't say it all.
I can't say it all.
No.
So we're adding a pregnant pig, a coony pig, and we are adding a flock of 5 Indian runner ducks. We've had Indian runners before, and I'm really excited about having them again. They have a great personality. They're a kind of a herding duck. They stand upright like little wine bottles, and they like run, which is why probably they're called Indian runners. They do not fly. They're not very meaty. So we'll probably just have them for egg production and for their pet-like qualities. They're easy to train. So yeah, ducks are a fun thing to have. They quack. So hopefully no one of your neighbors minds that.
Yeah.
I find it charming.
Some are louder than others.
The boys, the drakes are louder. Mm-hmm. They have us like quack, 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 quack.
Right.
You didn't want to join me in on the panel. So ducks, pigs, and a pregnant donkey. I feel like there was something else, but maybe I'm wrong. A lot of flowers. That's not livestock, but
no, that's not.
You got to do some of that. You got to do some.
That's a plant. Flowers are plants.
Biology. Flipper over there, unless it was. Oh yeah, there was a.
We had some questions submitted ahead of time. That's why I'm reading off of the paper.
Right.
But obviously, feel free to chat your questions in as well.
Yeah.
Do the kids? Is that how it works?
Yeah, you can chat your question, and there's like a chat box. If you're watching the recording, you can no longer chat box, but you can comment.
So live can chat.
Yeah.
Got it.
Okay, so the next part of the there was another part of that question though.
Which one?
What attracts you to the church you attend?
Oh.
So we're Catholic, which is like obvious because of our name.
Yeah, Front Porch Catholic kind of gives that one away a little bit.
We've attended the same parish since the beginning of our marriage, and actually it was Joe's parish when he was growing up, and my dad's parish, and my grandparents' parish, and it kind of goes back and back. What attracts us to it?
Well, it's kind of our home. I mean, in a sense, it's what our church should be, right? Mm-hmm. It should be an extension of our home. It should be our home. It's our angry child. And so I think that's what attracts us to it. Our family goes there. My parents go to that parish still, and my brothers and sister go there. And so it's kind of just it's what the communion of saints should be. It's the communion of saints for us.
It is also architecturally beautiful, which I think goes a long way.
It's always nice.
It is always nice. Give glory to God through what beauty people built that.
Yeah.
They give their talents to like make the stained glass and the statues and paint the pillars, lay the brick. What style architecture is it?
Neo-Gothic.
Okay. It was built like mid 1800s, right? Late mid.
After the Know Nothing Party burned down the first church.
Yeah.
Because they were anti-Catholic. So they torched it.
Too bad.
So we built a brick one.
Don't torch things.
Harder to torch the brick one.
It is harder. Brick's already kind of been fired.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So, and what keeps us there is, family. It's a faithful parish. We have great priests. Always really have. So, yeah, there's a lot happening in our parish. A lot of families. We have parishioners that sit in front of us every Sunday. They're in their 90s and they're going strong. And they just always have been so gracious to us, encouraging us in our family life. And so we're grateful for that. And then down to babies that are just totally loud. And everybody loves loud babies.
Never are babies, though. They're never loud.
Yeah, there's another one here. Okay, so this question is, how do you plan? It's do you plan your daily to-dos, and how do you manage the inevitable curveballs? Well, this is just like a really subjective answer. I Do you plan your daily to-dos? Like for school or home or homestead?
Sometimes I get ambitious and plan daily to-dos. Sometimes I have a plan in my head.
Does that serve you well? Having it just in your head?
No, having it in your head is mostly worthless. I mean, you do it. Inevitably, you do it. But it's good to have I think when I have chunks of time, I have a plan oftentimes. Because otherwise, you end up doing nothing. At least I end up doing nothing.
I have a daily plan. I have a daily rhythm. I guess that's kind of what I like to say rather than a schedule. I don't have times at 10:30 I must be doing this, but there's the waking up and breakfast and then cleaning up and prayer and then get the kids, make sure they're dressed and do their morning chores. And then we launch into school and there's lunch at a certain time and reading time and playtime. And then farm work also, I do make a to-do list. I operate really well with lists and I like check boxes. I always have, I like to feel like I accomplished this. I accomplished that. I like to look back and make sure I did everything that I knew I needed to do. And so having a daily to-do list does help me a lot. Homeschool things, I need to have stuff written down. There has to be a plan in place. And as far as home accomplishments or things that we want to make sure happen, when those things get written down, they normally do happen. Priorities happen. But there are curveballs. So the best laid plans of mice and men, right?
Yeah.
That's how it goes. We've had some curveballs this year. Oh, so what happens when the curveballs happen? I think I try to just trust and then act. Because the curveball happened, I can't control that it did happen, but I can't figure out why it happened always. Like a sickness, some kid just throws up. And so your whole day is different now. Or your car breaks down. And now the next few months are going to be different. And maybe you can't, we did a video on that, the whole car thing. So we couldn't just go out and buy a new car. And that was unfortunate, but we had to trust that we would be able to make it work. We'd be able to manage, we'd be able to get from A to B. And then we did something about it.
That's when we started riding the donkeys everywhere. That is a joke.
It's a joke.
Too small for some of us to ride.
Hey, what are you saying about me?
Nothing. Just talking about myself.
Good husband. So, yeah.
I think curveballs of life, well, to be honest, I suppose sometimes I just get really frustrated.
Yeah.
I think everybody does that probably, unless you're better than me, which
is possible. You can be better than Joe.
Yeah, likely.
What are you drinking, by the way?
Oh, yes. Our beverages this evening, we're getting very exotic and adventurous. So I'm having orange juice.
Oh,
Erica's having
I'm also having orange juice. I was going to call it a cup of sunshine.
She did it first, and I thought that sounds good. I'll have orange juice tonight.
Yeah, trying to bulk up on the vitamin C. Flus are going around, and we just had one kid bite the dust tonight.
Curveball,
yeah. Major change in the plans for tomorrow. So, oh well. Cheers. What are you guys drinking? If you're drinking anything, chat it, because we want to know. Maybe you're drinking something cooler than orange juice, in which case we commend you. Okay.
Yes.
Next question.
Okay. How do you multitask with everything? This person has a full-time job and a 2-year-old and feels as though they are always scrambling.
Water. Someone's drinking water. Good job. Scrambling.
How do you multitask?
I actually don't believe that anybody multitasks. I have this whole theory that no one actually multitasks. We just do little bits of things and we get distracted and crazy. So I think not being dispersed is key to success. So having that daily to-do list is very helpful. This person, so they have a full-time job and a 2-year-old and feel like they're scrambling. So I'm coming from a context of not having a full-time job. So it is a little bit different for me because I do mostly have autonomy throughout the day. I can plan appointments and plan things around those. And I don't have to show up at a certain place for a certain amount of time and set days unless I want to. So that's a huge part of me not feeling overwhelmed by life. How do you multitask? So if no one can multitask, that means I don't multitask. I don't. I guess I just try to go through the day, one thing after the next, knowing what needs to happen and what can be side projects. I don't know. Maybe I should think of a practical example of that. But hey, Heathstead.
I don't know. I mean, I have a full-time job.
Yeah.
And then I come home. And I think it's different, but it's helpful for me because Erica doesn't have a full-time job. So she's not as going different directions as I am. I think sometimes I do go a lot of different directions. That's not multitasking. I just go different directions and I get it's dispersed. It's I think we end up getting less done than if we go one direction. So I suppose to answer it is that we try to go one direction as much as possible. That's how we handle multitasking, is by trying not to multitask.
Yeah.
So even within the course of a day, one job at a time. Like the kids have to do all of the chores before they start school. Otherwise, it's just bonkers.
It was. This was Heathstead's question. So, what are you drinking tonight, Heathstead? We just talked about this. We have OJ. Chat in the box. What you're drinking. Maybe it's something a little more exciting.
Air. Canned air. Canned air's a thing. They sell canned air.
Why?
I think it's like in polluted Asian cities, they sell canned air.
Is that why they wear face masks?
No, they do face
because of the polluted air?
Yeah, well, that and the various viruses.
What's it go for? Canned air? Is it?
I don't know.
Like
milk's good drink too.
Milk, nice. I was gonna have chocolate milk tonight, but we're kind of doing like a cleanse here, and that breaks the rules.
You never break the rules.
I never break
except
the rules.
For the
list goes on and on. Oh man, but that's a really good question, because I think living on a farm with children can be hectic. And as the seasons change, demands on your farm and on your time change. And so that is always changing. So you have to change how you do things and when you do things and what you do or don't do depending on the season. So right now it's winter, so we've got a little bit of a break. The garden is not growing. There are no weeds. People aren't going to sports right now. So, it's a little bit of a lull. But you did just start planting some seeds today, or a few days ago. You got your little microgreens started.
Yeah, or whatever they're going to be called.
I don't know. Microgreens is like a thing right now. So
I think another area that's related to that is one of the things that I have is that I tend to have limited amounts of time and big tasks to do. And so if I feel like I have to finish the big tasks in that limited amount of time, then it is stressful for me. And sort of stress is part of life, I suppose, but part of we don't have to homestead to make a living. So I don't have to do these things, but if I feel like I have to do these things in a limited amount of time, then all of the enjoyment is sucked out of it. And then multitasking feels just like scrambling, I think, a lot. So it's important for me to stop and do things that I enjoy doing on the homestead, because otherwise I don't enjoy it anymore. And then what's the point of it? Right.
Well, an example, the pig. I did a video about we were going to be getting a pig, and you were just really honest with me about so backing up, we needed a pig shelter, but I had a pig lined up. This is a mistake that a lot of farm people make. We have made it many times before. You line up the animal, but you don't have a place for them yet. So you hurry up and build the place so that then you can bring the animal home tomorrow or whatever. And you were like, I just really don't want to build a pig shelter right now. I just don't want to do it. And I was like, rats. I had this deal on the pig. It was such a good deal, but okay, we can do that. We can back off. And that was good, because you would have been stressed out and feel like you had to hurry through the build, and it was getting cold, and then it would have just not been fun. Now, we called off the pig. We waited a week. We got our hog panels and built the pig enclosure together on a day when it was kind of mild.
And it was lovely.
Lovely. I enjoyed that. That was enjoyable, right?
Yeah, it was enjoyable.
Instead of
much better than the non-enjoyable thing it would have been the week before, when it wouldn't have gotten done right. And then I'd had to rebuild it because it wasn't done right the first time.
Right.
And as the old saying goes,
work smarter, not harder?
No, that one, not that one. There are more pigs in the sea.
I don't know that song.
There are other fish in the sea. There are more pigs in the sea. I don't know.
I think you made that up.
Yeah, I did. It's not a real saying.
Not a real saying. Okay. Next question here. So our friend Jude asks, This is number 3 here?
Uh-huh.
Yes, number 3. How do you prepare? Okay, so we've got some Lent questions because we're coming up into the season of Lent. How do you prepare for Lent? What do you give up? And do you do it individually or as a family? So do we prepare for Lent? We celebrate Mardi Gras and then wake up the next morning and you're like, it's Lent. Not all the time. Sometimes it's like that. But prepare for Lent. What do you do? I think it's the beauty of the seasons. Like right now it's ordinary time in the church calendar. And like then Lent comes. So we're preparing by like living the season, I guess. I think we can be. You can always get a little too anticipatory. Is that a word? Yeah, it's kind of like celebrating Christmas at
Thanksgiving,
October,
and then you're like, Christmas comes, and
then it's deflate a balloon.
So that's kind of our approach. Is that we think about Lent, but we don't get too wrapped up in Lent until Lent time.
Right.
Because heck, it's 40 days of
Lent's
penance
a long
anyway.
time.
So fasting. What is it? Fasting, almsgiving, and penance. No, that's both prayer.
Prayer, fasting, and almsgiving. Somebody get that right?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So I do not like. I'm sorry. I'm getting caught up in the chat here. What the A Bears? We love your name. We have best friends with your last name. I think I maybe told you that once before. So thanks for being here. 20 Answers series from Catholic Answers. Have you read that?
Yes, I think so.
Okay.
Maybe not.
Would you recommend it? I mean, it seems like it should be a good thing.
If it's the one that I read, it was a long time ago, so I don't remember.
Okay. Sweet.
Probably. They're good. Everything from them is good.
For Lent, though, it's always good for us to like think about, because you do have to make sacrifices. And we had a discussion about like hating penance. We don't actually hate it. But
yeah, we do.
Well, see, okay, that was a discussion we had. I'm like, you don't have to hate it.
Hate penance. Well, if you don't sort of hate it,
then it isn't really penance.
Yeah, I guess it depends what you mean by hate.
I was using it kind of rigidly. I don't know.
What do you mean?
Where's the dictionaries behind me? So, yeah. So prepare for Lent. We just we live the season, know that we're going to have to make sacrifices and we do try to think about those ahead of time. We help our kids a lot prepare for what they're going to do. And we help them understand why you're doing penance, why you're giving things up, which answers another person's question who has a 4-year-old.
Because if you ask a kid what they want to give up for Lent, the answer is pretty much
school.
Nothing.
They say school.
Yeah, or school or work.
Yeah. If y'all give up doing chores, one of our children gave up putting brown sugar on her oatmeal for 40 days. And we have oatmeal every day.
Yeah, 5 times a week.
And so plain oatmeal is but she totally offered that up.
Unless you love plain oatmeal.
That's right. St. Paul is a smart guy. I've been listening to a really good podcast that's going through St. Paul right now. It's called Dare Great Things. It's a podcast by Father Nathan Cromley, our good friend. So anyway, if you happen to look for that podcast, it's a good one. Chocolate. I do give up chocolate because it's one of my greatest loves besides immortal things.
It's actually, it's immortal. Heaven, chocolate, Joe.
Hey, no.
The kids, Joe. Miniature donkeys, Joe.
I don't love miniature donkeys.
You love them.
I enjoy them.
You love them.
Oh my goodness. So what are we going to do for Lent? I actually don't know. We haven't really discussed what we're going to offer up for Lent, what we're going to do for Lent. We got a couple days. So
we are not going to offer up YouTubing.
No. Yeah, we're going to keep YouTubing. It's a good thing to do. It's been a good discipline. So then someone wants to go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. So the question is, what do you do for Lent with little kids, like 3 and 4-year-olds? How do you help them have a good Lent? Because Lent really is, in a sense, Easter is Easter, which is great, but it doesn't make any sense without Lent, I suppose. Yeah. If you don't have the rest of the Paschal mystery, the resurrection is kind of like nothing, and it gets turned into just rabbits and the chickens, or chicks, rabbits and the chicks. And peeps. It gets turned into peeps.
Does anybody eat peeps
Easter
anymore?
without Lent is like peeps. Nothing against them.
Except everything.
I actually like them.
So gross.
For one bite.
Okay. I'll give you that. I'll take a chocolate bunny any day. You know what? Your Easter candy does not have to be penitential. Peeps would be penitential. Wouldn't it? I mean, it would be for me.
I don't think you should eat a lot of peeps for Lent. I think that.
No, for Easter.
Oh, why would you do that? Oh, that was your point?
That was my point.
Sorry.
Pour yourself some.
I was multitasking. I was trying to read the chat while talking to you.
Can't be done.
See, it can't be done.
Can't be done.
One thing at a time.
Oh, okay.
So that's really helping with 3 to 4-year-olds is in some ways just kind of introducing them to the ideas of Lent, and they almost always need sort of constant help.
I was reading the chats. Sorry, did you say something? Oh, he's homesteading with the A Bears. They just keep saying things, and I just keep reading them. Oh no. Well, we'll send all of our peeps to wherever you live. They might still be stale weeks afterwards. 3 and 4-year-old ideas, though. Actually, I have a really practical idea.
That's good.
And that is praying the Stations of the Cross with your kids. It's something that we do every Friday during Lent, and our parish hosts like a Stations of the Cross observation. But we don't go to it because it's in the evening and we've got little babies and teenagers, and it just kind of like turns into chaos. So we do it. We do it at home, and we have great booklets that lead us through the stations. And the kids who can read will take turns reading the stations. At the beginning, we do the genuflection toward the cross. And sometimes we say it in Latin. Do you remember the Latin?
No.
Okay. Well, we'll save it for another time because I can't. It's like not coming to mind either. Put me in a scenario.
So you forget it.
That's what I was asking you. Joe teaches Latin at his high school, Latin. So I thought maybe you would just be able to pull that out of your memory. But anyway. So that's a great thing to do because it's a long-standing tradition in the church, and it's a great way to introduce your kids to customs. And also, it's like the narrative of
it's the
Lent.
Passion.
Yeah,
it's Lent.
So it's
Lent
good.
in a story, kind of.
Yeah,
and then you have the markers of Jesus's passion, and you remember them. I remember them from my childhood praying stations, and so that's probably my first way that I knew the steps of Christ's passion. Yeah.
So that would be what I would recommend doing with any age of child. But 3 and 4-year-olds, they love story, they love motion, because you can physically move from one station to the next if you have Stations of the Cross in your parish, and most do.
Or you can take your 3 or 4-year-old to the Holy Land and do the actual Via Crucis Dolores or whatever it's called.
So if you watched our 5 questions for Catholic YouTubers, you would know that I want to go to the Holy Land. And so are you saying that some Easter we can take a 3 or 4-year-old? There's a 3 or 4 baby in my lap. Well, anyway.
That would be good for Lent. It would be penitential.
Yeah, it would not for me.
To take a 3 or 4-year-old
on a
20-hour flight?
That might be penitential.
Yeah, and for everybody else.
Okay.
Hey guys, just want to help you have a good Lent. We're going to bring our baby on the flight for 12 hours.
Oh, that'd be very hard. Okay, I think there's one more question that we want to get to. Yeah, I think there's a number 5. Oh, I did number 5.
Yeah,
number 4?
There's more number 4s. Oh,
this is a good one. Okay, so this is another faith topic one. The question is, where'd it go? Okay. Have any of your kids started to question or pull back from the faith? And if so, what have you done about it? Our kids are all still under our roof right now. Our oldest is a freshman in high school. And so, have they pulled back or rejected it? They're not really, because of how we've raised them or raised them in this culture of faith, they really haven't had, I don't think, a real reason to pull back from the faith itself. Now we get pushback on obedience things, all the things that kids struggle with, but none of our kids has ever said I don't believe that Jesus is present in the Eucharist, or I don't believe this, or you're a stupid mom or dad for saying this, or
maybe to some extent they've never been exposed to that idea, and it will happen at some point, but because they were homeschooled and because our friends and family members are all pretty much similar bent, I don't think it's really entered their thought process. Maybe for Thomas, but I think he's at this point he understands enough and is
stalwart enough.
Yeah,
he's kind of embraced it. He's been confirmed, so it's a big milestone for a young person. That happens younger too in certain rites. Confirmed when you're a baby or Even in the Roman Rite when you're in 3rd grade or 2nd grade before Holy Communion. Now, what would we do about it if they did pull back? Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I guess we would look first. I would look to the example of people who have encountered this before me, people whom I trust, and ask kind of how they managed it. But actually, before that, I'd probably just pray for grace to know how to understand my child, what their problem is, understand how to encounter them in that moment. That's what I'd pray to their guardian angel. I do that a lot when I'm not understanding what's going on. We have a toddler who tantrums right now, so I don't know if that's considered pushback. But that's what I do a lot, is just pray to understand why he's doing this. And a lot of times I don't know why, but I want to be able to aid him in coming through that.
Well, this morning it was because he wanted to go to the aquarium. And a 2-year-old saying aquarium, you cannot understand what he's trying to say.
Poor kid.
So he would say something about the aquarium over and over again, and Eric would just keep saying, what? And
he's more frustrated from understanding. Oh, I was trying so hard. I didn't actually pray in that moment. I think you from the other room were like, he said aquarium. Maybe it took that distance and the echo to
But he had already done that to me, and I had figured it out eventually.
Oh,
so
really?
That's why I knew he was saying aquarium, because I'd heard the same phrase come out of his mouth.
Didn't remind me.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay. But that's a really serious question, though. Like, what do you do when your child pushes back? I think you love them. That's what I would do. Just keep loving them and help to guide them to the truth.
Yeah, and I don't know. I mean, in a sense, sometimes we get a little sensitive about the faith, which is important. I mean, it's good to be sensitive, but sometimes we get more sensitive about it and like worry that we're gonna like somehow where we don't in other areas. Like if our kids don't want to do the chores, who cares?
We don't start
You're
to
going to do
question.
the chores. We can explain why they're going to have to do the chores, but sometimes we like don't want to push too hard on the faith because we're worried they're going to reject it. Like I don't know. Sometimes we just gotta push on. I think because that's how we have to do it with everything that our children do. Is they push back on
their kids.
They push back on things.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know because we never experienced it, so that's me saying it from no experience. But
yeah, it's good to have in mind, but like you don't want to get paranoid about it. So. And
then Erica plans on pulling a St. Monica and just following our children around until they convert.
Physically following them around?
Yes, what St. Monica did.
I do what it gotta take. I will do what it takes.
I do what it's gotta take.
Sorry, it's late and I'm drinking orange juice. What can be said? What can be said?
She's gone.
Preparing for Lent. Yeah, so anyway, what's tomorrow bringing for you? What's tomorrow bringing for you guys?
It's Friday.
It's Friday. Tomorrow's bringing like a meatless day for us. We, of course, abstain from meat throughout Lent because we're asked to, but we do it year round because we're asked to as well. So I'm going to be making some split pea soup tomorrow, sans ham and homemade bread. But anyway.
Yeah. And they don't homeschool on Friday, so they have a day off every Friday.
But curveball, I have a sick child upstairs.
Yeah, but it's a sick teenager, so most of he just wants to sleep.
Can't blame him. It's a good life. So,
yeah.
We want to thank you guys for joining us on this live chat. If you have any other questions, just throw them in the chat box. Otherwise, we'll probably just wrap it up and be really grateful for you all following our story.
Thanks for subscribing, sharing us with people. If you do that, if you don't, thanks anyways.
Yeah, go ahead and try it out.
Thanks for listening tonight or whenever you end up listening to this.
Yeah. So
I do appreciate it.
We've got a good video coming next week. We talk about putting up hay. We're kind of like in this hay crisis in our part of the world. Ohio, we had a really, really wet spring and a really, really late planting. So early on, everyone was panicking about the hay supply and even other crops that go in around here like corn and soybeans and wheat and all that. And anyway, it's still everyone's still kind of riding that storm because now it's February and everybody's kind of running low on hay. We thought we maybe put up enough of our own hay, but we're not gonna make it. So Joe bought 40 bales today. Got to throw that up in the hay mow. But we've got a good video about that and some insights I had about heritage and your ancestors. So that and hay all kind of came together in this next video we're putting out either Monday or Tuesday. So there's a question here. Oh no, the geocache family has a sick kid too. I'm sorry. I hope that they get healed very soon. We gave therapeutic doses of vitamin C to our teen and sent him off to bed. So I think it's 200 milligrams per kilogram of body weight per day. If you can do the math on that. We couldn't even do the math on the Hail Marys, but Anyway, I hope they get better soon.
He's a weirdo though. Like he hates being sick. He would
Yeah.
much rather go to school.
Yeah, much rather go to school.
And it's institutional school too. So.
Oh. So homesteading with the A Bears. Did you say Joe is a teacher? Yes. How do you deal with your students about being Catholic and a teacher? I know my friends that are teachers say the kids don't think you can be smart and Catholic.
Well, I teach in a Catholic school.
Yeah, that's kind of changes.
So that kind of changes things. But there's still that out there. There's still certainly a cultural push, Catholic or Christian, or just to some extent, the new fad among little kids, teenagers is of sort of like a irreligion, a no religion, the nuns,
N-O-N-E-S, yeah.
But just sort of a skepticism about anything religious, as though it's it's unprovable and it's unreasonable. And that's how I just go about it. I think is that when they see that it is reasonable and that hopefully I come across as halfway intelligent.
Joe is a beloved teacher. He is intelligent.
And even in other things, it's helpful for them to see that I know things as well. Like I'm not, this is going to sound bad, but I'm not just a religion teacher. I teach economics, I teach Latin, and I've taught calculus and world history and English. And so they can see that, well, here, if he's intelligent in economics, maybe there's something going on with the religion side too, because he doesn't seem like he's that stupid. So maybe I'm missing something.
Dare you say you are a credible witness? A
credible witness.
I'm kind of on this credible witness kick. I'll share it with you sometime.
Credible witness.
Yeah. Well, you're like a real person. And I think, is some of the pushback against teaching the faith, is it like, science, like this, is it a science faith kind of debate? Like science, or I Googled this and I didn't come with the answer.
Scientism.
You talked about that before.
Yeah. Belief in science as all knowing, which is weird. It's a weird thing because they don't even know what science knows. They'll just claim it. That science very regularly. Oh, science and religion conflict. Yeah. Give me an example. They don't know. They just say it. I heard somewhere along the way that now the average age at which a person rejects faith, becomes an atheist or a nun, is 7th grade.
Oh, that's really early.
It used to be high school, but they theorize that with the advent of the internets and everybody being on the internets, that they now think they're very smart, and so therefore they're deciding at the age 7th grade that they no longer believe what their parents, family, or everybody else believes.
That's a real tragedy. Looking elsewhere besides the family to form you.
Yeah.
Yeah, family is so important. Shows in that. So, if you were a teacher at a non-Catholic school, do you think you would encounter the same? I mean, obviously you wouldn't be teaching also the subject of theology alongside teaching economics, but do you think you would encounter people blowing you off because they know that you're a faithful Catholic guy?
I don't know.
That's hard.
I don't know how much they would know that.
Yeah. I hope they would read between the lines and understand that because of who you are.
But it's part of the reason I don't teach in public school.
Right. Well, yeah.
There's that's a whole nother discussion.
Yeah. Question: is your Catholic school truly a Catholic school?
Yeah.
It is. It's in the Archdiocese.
Yeah.
Of blank. We're in Ohio, as you know so well. But yeah, it's not a parochial school, so it's not associated with a parish, but it pulls from many parishes in our area. So last year, the theology faculty took an oath of fidelity to the Archbishop. Not to the Archbishop. What's the right language?
To the teachings of Christ. That would be the
right. Okay, but the Archbishop came to our high school
to receive the oath of fidelity from us.
Yeah,
so that was
pretty momentous. That's the first time that has ever happened in the history of the school. Was last year, and we thank Father Langenkamp for helping to instigate that and see it through. But how long has the school existed as itself? Well,
it grew out of some other ones. So I think 54, the one was built. But, grew out of a parochial school, and it's now an archdiocesan high school.
We're pretty blessed in our area. The Catholic schools here do because our rural community is I mean, there's a strong Catholic presence here and has been historically. And so our parish schools have maintained that faithfulness, and the families here have maintained that. And it's desired that the schools here be authentically Catholic. And so for better or worse, yes. I mean, there's a lot of fidelity. And so we're really proud of that. We're really proud of that. Joe, teaching at the high school, I mean, like there are so many great people at that high school, but it's good to stick and stay, which is what we've chosen to do. Good night, Zoe. Sleep well.
And Erica said rural, which is one of my favorite words because you can't say rural and sound intelligent. Rural.
Roll. Some people say that. So anyway.
All right.
Okay. Well, hey guys, thank you so much for joining us tonight. We're so blessed to have you with us. Stay with us on the journey. We're so glad to have so many of you following us. Oh, wait, one more question. Ironically, 7th grade can also be. Yep. Yep. Santa Claus, Easter Bunny. Looking at Jesus is one of those. Yeah. So yeah, sorry to back it up again. Like Santa Claus and Easter Bunny, we have different kind of like practices here in our house. The kids know, younger, than 7th grade, that we play a very big role in Santa Claus and the Easter Bunny.
Yeah, we had a discussion at school about this because they're like, "Oh, do you lie to your kids?" I don't lie to my kids. It's not a lie though to say that Santa Claus comes.
Why not?
Because I am Santa Claus.
Heyo.
And really for our kids, then there's no contradiction there. Anyway, that's probably another topic for another
we'll
time.
tackle that one in another video or another live chat.
You're going to tackle Santa Claus in another video?
Hey, I'm tackling you then.
It'll be a rural Santa Claus.
With boots and a tractor. So, all right, y'all. Thanks for being with us tonight. We're going to put little people to bed. Hope you have a great night of sleep. And we'll see you in the next
Thanks for joining
video.
us.
Thank you guys. Oh, and we're going to pray rosaries for those people who ask questions. They're guaranteed.
Or said something. We'll include it to everybody, really.
We'll name you. It'll be good.
Yeah.
All right, y'all. Take care. God bless. Night.